Well, Master on Kesa top lane achieved again. A bit later than I wanted, but at least we got there. Now in today's video, I want to go over my overall climb to Masters as a top laner and talk about what I learned, but also the horrible state that is D1 right now. So, even if you don't play Kesa top, or even don't play top lane at all, you can still learn and get something out of this. Also, since it's holiday season and we reach 400 subscribers, by the way thanks a lot, giveaway time, more info at the end of the video. I'm a Kesa OTP that got bored of playing bot lane in early season 13 and wanted to try something new. And this was Kesa top lane. Actually, my first video on this channel was me talking about reaching Diamond on Kesa top. Then, 3 weeks before the end of Split 1, I was able to reach Masters, and my plan was to reach Masters early in Split 2 and then push further than that. But things didn't go as planned, let's just say that. With the release of this stupid item that should have never been released that early in Split 2 in the first place, that we call Static, Kesa overnight became super OP and reached presence as in solo queue that peaked at 80%. So yeah, you can probably imagine how hard it is to play an off-meta pick in these conditions. Not only I needed to be lucky enough for my champion to not get banned, but I also needed to fight with the enemy ADC and my ADC to get priority over her. TLDR, it was impossible for me to play Kesa top lane at the start of Split 2. Another problem is that it took way too long for Riot to basically nerf the static Kesa build, and by the time I could finally play her, school already started. Finally, and this is my mistake, I wasn't practicing enough. That means it's been weeks and weeks I didn't touch Kesa top lane, so I was a little bit rusty, and it took me some time to relearn everything. It really goes to show that League of Legends in the end is a skill that you always need to practice if you want to keep up with others and keep climbing. But in the end, with 2 good 8-hour sessions in a row, at the cost of my sanity by the way, I was able to clutch it up as the AP Kesa god I am and get back to Masters. Now let's talk about the climb itself. Well, there's a lot to talk about, but let's start with the good. I actually felt that the climb from D4 to D2 was overall more enjoyable than Split 1. Now, I don't know if it's because of the addition of Emerald, because if you simply look at population and stats of Diamond between Split 1 and Split 2, barely anything has moved. But it did feel better, especially because it didn't feel like there was such a skill gap between D4, D3, and D2 compared to Split 1. Also, and that's a pretty surprising one, I didn't get that much hate from playing Kesa top lane in Diamond lobbies. Barely any dodges, and fun fact, I get a way worse treatment in Emerald, although I do well, than in Diamond, but that's probably because it's Emerald, and we all know how toxic filled this Elo is. But that's where the good ends. Now let's talk about the bad of climbing to Masters as a scaling top laner. Gosh, where do I even start? The thing is when you finally stabilize in D1 low master MMR, you enter in this kind of cage, sort of. Because yes, if the skill gap between D4 to D2 felt less important, there is still a clear skill gap between D2 and D1 players. If you simply look at my games, for most of them, as soon as I started to play below D1 MMR, my games felt way easier and I ended up doing really well, which would push me right back to the hell that is D1 low master MMR. So at this point you enter this sort of dance where you hover between D1 and master 200 LP non-stop while you try your best to escape this prison. If you simply look at my games, you can see how annoying it was to perma-go up and down, up and down, up and down over 50 games in D1. Because yes, you meet some really interesting people in this Elo bracket. From the person that plays 10 games a day and that FF as soon as a single thing goes wrong, to the Morgana that says I didn't deserve Masters just to steal my pick and my runes the very next game to get a free win. By the way, you're welcome Morgana. To autofill junglers that decide to die a dragon when the dragon was already dead. No, why do that? Dude, you don't need to do that. You don't need, why? You said yes too, what the fuck? So yeah, for all of you that think that Masters would mean better teammates, sorry to disappoint, it's still the same problem as in your game. But overall, these issues are common across ranked anyway. What I really want to talk about is a plague that really destroys this Elo in particular. I'm talking about Smurf, and I put them in quotation marks for a reason. Now, smurfing has always been an issue in League, no matter the elo, and D1 is no different. You do get a challenger smurf once in a while that will 1v9 in games, but my problem isn't them, but the smurf. And the reason why I put quotation is that in reality they aren't really smurf, even though they believe themselves to be one. I'm talking about the Masters 300 to 400 LP to low Grandmaster players that play in D1 low Master MMR. Now sure, they're still better, but the difference isn't that big, that they can simply 1v9 on autopilot like a challenger can do. which pretty much end up in them hinting really hard one game or carrying the other one. And when I say it's bad, I mean it. You face these type of people once every 2 games, and it just ruins the experience. It's not fun, and for many of us that are just trying to achieve masters before the end of the season, it just ruins any motivation because games just feel super random. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't mind GM players playing in D1 because like I said, practicing is important, but at least try to win. Because here's the issue, in most of my games, these players don't even try to win, since they are playing on their for fun account like they like to call them. Thus, they don't really care about the map and play super risky, and add to that, they also play champs or role they never played before like Wei or first time in jungle. And you end up having to deal with someone that will pretty much 50-50 your game but will also hero shame you during the entire game if things go wrong or if they don't get what they want. As a scaling top laner, this hurts even more because most of my games end up being decided on if my GM Smurf trolls the first 15 minutes or not. Because even if you try to come back and scale, a lot of time your team is too mentally destroyed that it simply doesn't matter. And in the end, these people will never get banned because overall they don't do things that are ban worthy, apart from the hinting of course. But like I said, their score don't scream trolling, even though they do massive mistake that just ruins the game in an instant and there's nothing you can do about it. Okay, let's end on a positive note. Here's a few things I learned while climbing to Masters. Number 1, Fleet is OP. If you didn't realize yet, I switched from playing First Strike to Fleet. Here's why. Remember, the entire idea of AP Kit at top or mid is to survive until you reach your W spike. The main downside that First Strike has is that it gives you little to no sustain, so if you're facing a bruiser or mage, it's sometimes difficult to stay healthy. Meanwhile, Fleet gives you access not only to sustain but also movement speed, which allows you to kite champs like Aatrox with more comfort. Now, I still think First Strike is better into easy matchups like Gragas, Singed, Ornn, and so on, but versus bruisers, champions like Jace or even mages in the mid lane, Fleet just feels better because of the added sustain in laning phase. And here's the rune page if you want to try it yourself. It might also be playable in bot lane into things like Caitlyn and Lux, but it does need more testing. Second thing, you don't need chat at all in Ranked. This is a question that a few people ask on Reddit, but League chat is mostly used to flame people. I know, it's sad. And overall, even if you mute, you won't lose much info, since most players use pings every time they do a move. So I really recommend for your sanity to mute the chat when things get rough. Finally, it's important to remember something. It's okay to get mad and it's okay to get emotional over a bad match. League of Legends is a competitive game and you want to climb, so when you get a bad teammate, it's okay to be tilted. You just need to know how to forget the bad games and not keep them in your head for too long. One of the best methods for me is to have a second game to play. It's probably the main reason why I was able to keep my sanity during this climb. Don't only play League, make sure to have something else to do on the side after a bad loss so you don't end up tilt queuing, which is just gonna make things worse anyway. For me, it was playing Genshin Impact and Honkai on the side, but it can be really anything that will simply distract you from League after a tough loss. And there you have it. I'm overall super happy to have reached Masters even after all the APKs and nerf we got, and to be honest, I think it's still possible to reach GM with this pick without too much issues, but it's for sure gonna be a massive grind. So yes, next season objective will be GM. And with that said, giveaway time. The next goal will be 400 subscribers for the next giveaway, so you better subscribe if you don't want to miss out. I'll be giving away one epic skin for EOS or NA players, or one Discord Nitro for anyone else, and the giveaway will end on January 2nd. And to enter, you just need to type I participate in the comments. Alright, I hope you all enjoyed this video and I'll see you next time. Oh wait, one more thing.